So this is the connection question. I like to ask this question because I know that there are a lot of young people who are going to be looking up to this video. They'll be trying to process their own goals, dreams, aspirations, sort of thing. But how did your childhood passions as a kid prepare you for your adult career choice?
That's a good question. When I was a kid, I knew I wanted to help people, which is really broad, and it's a great thing if you want to help people. And I also knew that a lot of times, like I played teacher with my siblings and graded their papers and such. And then there were also just some spaces that I was in that, there were some things that I was exposed to that weren't that great, actually. So me loving math, wanting to be a teacher, wanting to help people, kind of was natural to become an educator. And the thing about picking a career is that you don't always have to get it right. Like, you don't have to be perfect with what you do, but you do have to, and it's good to do your research. And research isn't all on a phone or a computer. Sometimes it's talking to the adults that are in your life to understand what they did, how they got there, annoy them. That's their job, to give back to you. Talk to your gym teacher, talk to your coach, talk to your mom's friend who smokes cigarettes, talk to anybody. Like, you have to, part of education is you. Education isn't a teacher that's just like pouring stuff down your throat and you're just digesting it. Education is an action word, and you're going to go get it. So when you think about, like, hey, what do I like now? Who am I right now? It's okay, because who you are will change, but you want to give yourself the benefit of the doubt of knowing as much as you know and as much as you can in order to do the things you want to accomplish. So teaching I thought was my thing. I went to college to be a math education major. I started to learn more about it, and I was like, I want to do public administration and policy because that's going to help more people. Yes, I would love to help my 26 kids in my class because I like math, I make it fun, but I want to have a broader, wider impact, a statewide impact, a national, international impact, which is why I changed to political science, public administration. But I got to know, so asking questions helped me. Knowing kind of what my skills is, having that self-awareness is important, because we can know so many things and ask other people things and know a lot about trending topics, but knowing yourself, that's like a big deal. Like, when you know yourself and you take time to sit with yourself, journal, and really think about what your interests are, that helps to prepare you to at least pick a cluster. I know I like this area. You won't find me in the health sciences field because that's just not me. Or working with kids, and I actually got to work with kids. So, this was a part of my vocational journey. There's summer programs through the Urban League. We had a one-stop career center where I grew up, and I got to learn how to fly an airplane. I got to learn how to and actually like get up there with a pilot and fly it after we did our 10 weeks of learning. And I was 14. I got to learn, I got to do babysitting. They paid you. And I realized that I didn't like being with kids at that point after I babysat all summer. But get exposed to these different things and put yourself out there, and even listening to some of your videos. But realize that your interests will change. Do your research outside, but then also do your research inside. And don't be afraid to bring who you are with you, because if you have interests, if there's things and experiences that you have from your past and your background, bring your whole self. You don't have to hide parts of yourself. Be you and bring your whole self and all your skills, whatever they might be.
That's awesome. I mean, flying a plane at 14.
Yeah.
Wow.
Being part of it was just a pilot, like a little small pilot, just two people. So,
but still, that's phenomenal.
Right. So if the plane ever goes down on my way to India, I'm not going to volunteer first. I at least know how to like pull it up and do a few, not too much. It's been some years.
That's true. And what you're saying is the reason why this podcast exists. I mean, as you know, it's called the Imagine Exposure Podcast. you don't know what you don't know. I mean, there's when we talk to kids, one of the first things you hear is, "Hey, what do you want to be?" Nothing wrong with these things, but hey, I want to be a rapper. I want to be a rapper or an athlete. Nothing wrong with that. But there's so many other jobs, careers, and vocations that you can do. And hopefully, these episodes, if someone does desire to make education and action words, you say that they would seek out learning from Dr. Austin Floyd, learning from Dr. Mary Jones Wilson, learning from all of the guests that we've had, Dr. Or Ms. Bridget Hickman, like people who just are in some dynamic and diverse fields and vocations, and they can learn about these, or at least be exposed to them. And of course, they would have to do their own research and due diligence from there. But it's a great opportunity, I think, to at least introduce them to young people, but for free, or with a paid for, if you will.
And I would even say, Zach, like, if you want to be a rapper, if you want to be a ball player, start doing it now. Like, if you are 13, if you are 16, my son wants to be a YouTuber. Ethan, do you have a YouTube channel? Start making your videos and start now. That way you get to feel and experience what it's like now. You don't have to wait till you're an adult to start doing if you want to be doing something in 10 years and 5 years, you should be doing it right now and getting practice right now.
Absolutely agreed. And TikTok, wow, all the things that they have at their disposal is just phenomenal. So, but yeah, I agree with that. Absolutely, start getting it now, get practicing. And I think the thing about the internet and where it is right now, it leans to the creative. It leans to the person that's actually putting content out and posting. It just does. It's just the nature of how it's kind of structured. And we can go off on a tangent. Welcome to the Imagine Exposure Podcast, the podcast or the vodcast that seeks to help young people better reverse engineer their goals. Today we have a very, very special guest, and I know that I say that often, but this guest, I've been able to see his maturation process, going from, I think I met this young man. He was walking into South Carolina State student loans, and he was saying that he was going to be the president of the United States. I'll never forget that. And now he's going on to get his doctorate. He's going to do some amazing things. He's already doing amazing things. I'm talking about none other than Dr. Austin Floyd. How you doing, Austin?
I'm doing well today, Zach. How are you?
Awesome. Oh, can't complain. I'm happy that you can break down what is a student services and strategic initiatives coordinator. That's going to be something really cool. Our first question out of the gate is, who are you and how do you define yourself?
That's not a simple question to ask. Who are you? That is a multidimensional question, and it's a question, how do you define yourself? It's something that is a journey. Like many people define themselves by roles. They define themselves by faith. I define myself based on my vision for my life and who and where I want to go. Also my roles, I'm a father, I am a brother, I am a leader, but I am also a man who is on a journey. And that journey has given me experiences that I really appreciated and wanted, and also experiences that I didn't want. And I'm like, why, God? So I'm someone who is continually learning and discovering myself. Again, my name is Dr. Austin Floyd. I live here in Sumter, South Carolina, originally born in New Jersey. And again, went to South Carolina State University where I met you, Zach. I'm someone who wants to first continually realize my own potential and help other people realize theirs. And then also adjust some of the taken for granted narratives that people have surrounding what's possible, surrounding who they are, but also surrounding marginalized groups and those who may not have access to educational resources, et cetera, et cetera.
Touched on it a little bit, but I want you to kind of go more into it. As it pertains to work and vocation, what's your story?
So I currently work as a student services and strategic initiatives coordinator for the South Carolina Technical College System in the Division of Academic Student Affairs and Research. So what that means is, there's the South Carolina Technical College System has 150,000 students statewide at our two-year colleges on the credit and non-credit side. And those students attend college and major in a number of different areas, some on the technical side, some public service, some health sciences, et cetera, et cetera. So what I do in student services is help the 16 community colleges that are located in South Carolina to be the best that they can be, to improve, to ensure that they are following policy, and to ensure that students are having a positive experience. So I'll tell you what I do, and then how I arrived at that, how the journey came to that. So working with those at the 16 colleges who do financial aid, who do admissions, the registrars, working with the student life directors, the counseling directors, those who do disability services, and helping to connect them, creating statewide collaboration opportunities, and also listening to students when they submit complaints, and also working with the colleges. I'm on the MOA equity audit team, so we go to the colleges and ensure that they're free from discrimination, and that students and faculty and staff are having a positive experience. And I also do some other special projects related to incarcerated learners and students with GEDs, et cetera, et cetera. But my journey to that is, I'm the first generation college student. First time in South Carolina was 2 days before classes started at South Carolina State. In some ways, I knew what I wanted to do. I knew that I liked math. I knew that I liked politics. And when I arrived to SC State, I was a math major and then switched to political science. But my journey here is a culmination of me really asking a lot of people a lot of questions, really being around adults and being immersed in programs in my community, and really learning from adults who were around me about what jobs are even available. So in college, I was really active, student activities, student government president, and such. And that led me, after I finished college, to work in higher education. That's kind of how I got into higher education, doing student activities and admissions post college, and then kind of moved up from there. To answer your question.
No, absolutely. I think it's great to see the progression and see how there was always kind of that passion. Like, it's more, I guess, concrete in a vocational sense, but it's kind of the fruit, if you will, of what happened years prior. And so it makes sense, right? Like that this is just part of your story, and something that you have. It seems like a passion and desire for to help at a core, to help the students, right? But bigger than that, there's some other, as you said, political, strategic. There's a lot that goes into it. There's layers that go into the type of job that you do, and so very appreciative of what you do for so many. What would you say is the biggest misconception of your job?
That's a good question. The biggest misconception of my job is that I would say two things: that you have to know everything, and that you have to have all the degrees in the world to be there. In my job, you don't have to know everything. You just have to be good at finding stuff out. There's a lot of times when there's answers that, your supervisors or constituents or stakeholders want to know. And when you don't know those things, you find out, you read the law. There's rules and regulations, and a lot of times people don't understand why those rules exist. But there's always something there's always a regulation attached to a higher education law or a policy statement. So my job, you don't have to know everything. You just have to know how to read and really understand where to look for different things. And then also just having multiple degrees. My position only requires a bachelor's degree at the moment. So you can walk into spaces. You do need education. to work in education. If you want to help more people have access to education, have scholarships, you want to expose people to greater things, you have to have some form of education, but you don't have to have everything or go to school for 20 years to do what I'm doing. You simply have to be inquisitive, ask questions, and just like you can, search things. My younger brother is 17; he can search something really quick on his phone. And, those same skills are really useful in what I do today. It's not about, oh, I'm not that or academically whatever inclined. It's more so, who are you, what are your skills, and then applying that to this position of student services and strategic initiatives.
Did you deciphering that and breaking that down? Who are the people in your vocational story in which you're the most grateful?
Grateful for a lot of people. Like, there's so many people. I'm grateful for my mom for saying, Austin, you're the best. You can do anything, believe in who you are. I'm grateful for teachers, my elementary school guidance counselor for picking me up and bringing me to math nights and pouring into me. And I'm also grateful for guidance counselors throughout high school. But I think about, and I want to make sure I answer your question exactly. So can you say it before I start listing 37 people?
No. It's sky's the limit. The sky's the limit. I think that, and let me give you maybe context on the question. So with Careers to Cultivate, the construct is kind of an engagement with entrepreneurship culture itself. So much of what we see online and these podcasts are kind of, I built this by myself. I pull myself up by my bootstraps and stuff. And I'm just like, that's just not true. That's just not life. Okay. And so Grace to Cultivate, just to kind of give an overview, it's like, I believe that the Triune God and many other people have invested deeply into my life. And as a result, I use that to help others build, kind of love your neighbor as self, but vocationally, what does that look like practically? And so for me, it's the sky's the limit. Like, if it's your mom, if it's your sisters, if it's, your supervisor, like whoever, because I think showing and showcasing that gratitude is just uncommon in our culture right now, specifically among the selfie culture and the self-made culture and things like that. Because it's just, I just think it's just not true.
Yeah, no, that's great. Like, when you come from a place where I grew up, like I grew up in a place that was infested with crime, drugs, poverty, but also love. There was family there, and there were strengths in that space as well. But when you come from those spaces, you're not really exposed to different ways of being. The only exposure that I had was TV, school, and many times there were programs. I remember I went to Lakewood High School in New Jersey, and they had a college tour, and they also took us to go see The Lion King on Broadway. I had never been to a Broadway show or been to a college campus, but when you look at those community greats, those people in your community who are doing things for kids to expose people. So I thank those people, Mr. Johnson and Lakewood High School. I thank even my supervisors. As a young person working, I used to work at a bank. I didn't always know that you had to dress up for trainings, and I showed up in shorts and a t-shirt a few times, and I was told and guided on the right way. But those who are part of my vocational story, it really goes back to those who were in the educational spaces with me, who helped me to believe in myself, those who accepted me and showed me that I was enough, and that what I had was good good enough to offer. And I think about my HBCU, South Carolina State. There were family members there, Miss White in the Honors College, Miss Zimmerman. You think about those people who gave you hugs with their words and who really took you under their wing. And really, it's important to get plugged in, it's important to put yourself out there and really not isolate or, just stay in your own things that you're used to. And a lot of these people, I actually miss White. I had never been to a fancy hotel. The hotel wasn't even fancy now that I think about it, but it had this cool door, like this dungeon door. And I was like, wow, it had a door. And then for me, traveling with the honors college, that was like, wow, one day I'm going to grow up and I'm going to have a door like that. That's what I said in my head at 19, but these people who had programs, I think about my supervisor, Barbara Wright, who just provided me with strength. Like all of those people who looked out for me emotionally, physically, who poured into me spiritually. I definitely those they're definitely a part of my story, especially my church. Growing up, my youth group from Holy Temple.
And man, I appreciate everything you said. One thing that's interesting is the common refrain that I hear from generation to generation is Miss White. I was
Yeah.
recently at the Orangeburg Massacre ceremony. This was in February, and the gentleman who's on stage, a young man who did a very moving spoken word piece. And in the spoken word piece, he included Miss White. His name is Delano Whitfield. I was like, wow, this generation as a generation still making an impact. And I just want to give a shout out to Dr. Harriet Rowland. Dr. Rowland was one of the first people that believed in this program. She allowed me to present. And I think we were in that class together, 12 Ways School Matters in Real Life, but presented to the honors, the first, not the honors kids, the leadership course.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. I did that. And so it was really fun to kind of come full circle.
Too.
And so, yes.
That too. Like we had to dress in our jackets and be on time, read these leadership books. And those were things that I never was exposed to, So, I mean, education, like, I'm big on education, but also on saying thank you, like you said, to those people who helped get us here. And my son, I have a 10-year-old son, his name's Ethan, and going through my doctoral program, I felt like quitting. There's plenty of times I would cry and, up in the middle of the night, and I'm like, I'm going to sleep. And my son, whether I woke up early in the morning or didn't go to bed till 4 in the morning, he's like, come on, Dad, don't give up. He'll see me like go to bed and just wake up and like, nope, Dad, you can do it. Did you finish? And, leaning on that strength as well was so helpful, as well as my family, like helping me, take care of my child as a parent and such. So, yeah.
That's awesome. So this is the connection question. I like to ask this question because I know that there are a lot of young people who are going to be looking up to this video. They'll be trying to process their own goals, dreams, aspirations, sort of thing. But how did your childhood passions as a kid prepare you for your adult career choice?
That's a good question. When I was a kid, I knew I wanted to help people, which is really broad, and it's a great thing if you want to help people. And I also knew that a lot of times, like I played teacher with my siblings and graded their papers and such. And then there were also just some spaces that I was in that, there were some things that I was exposed to that weren't that great, actually. So me loving math, wanting to be a teacher, wanting to help people, kind of was natural to become an educator. And the thing about picking a career is that you don't always have to get it right. Like you don't have to be perfect with what you do, but you do have to, and it's good to do your research. And research isn't all on a phone or a computer. Sometimes it's talking to the adults that are in your life to understand what they did, how they got there, annoy them. That's their job, to give back to you. Talk to your gym teacher, talk to your coach, talk to your mom's friend who smokes cigarettes, talk to anybody. Like you have to, part of education is you. Education isn't a teacher that's just like pouring stuff down your throat and you're just digesting it. Education is an action word and you're going to go get it. So when you think about like, hey, what do I like now? Who am I right now? It's okay, because who you are will change, but you want to give yourself the benefit of the doubt of knowing as much as you know and as much as you can in order to do the things you want to accomplish. So teaching I thought was my thing. I went to college to be a math education major. As I started to learn more about it, and I was like, I want to do public administration and policy because that's going to help more people. Yes, I would love to help my 26 kids in my class because I like math, I make it fun, but I want to have a broader, wider impact, a statewide impact, a national, international impact, which is why I changed to political science, public administration. But I got to know. So asking questions helped me. Knowing kind of what my skills is, having that self-awareness is important, because we can know so many things and ask other people things and know a lot about trending topics, but knowing yourself, that's like a big deal. Like when you know yourself and you take time to sit with yourself, journal, and really think about what your interests are, that helps to prepare you to at least pick a cluster. I know I like this area. You won't find me in the health sciences field because that's just not me. Or working with kids, and I actually got to work with kids. So, oh, this was a part of my vocational journey. There's summer programs through the Urban League. Through we had a one-stop career center where I grew up, and I got to learn how to fly an airplane. I got to learn how to and actually like get up there with a pilot and fly it after we did our 10 weeks of learning. And I was 14. I got to learn. Oh, I got to do babysitting. They paid you, and I realized that I didn't like I didn't like being with kids at that point. After I babysat all summer, but get exposed to these different things and put yourself out there, and even listening to some of your videos. But realize that your interests will change. Do your research outside, but then also do your research inside, and don't be afraid to bring who you are with you, because if you have interests, if there's things and experiences that you have from your past and your background, bring your whole self. You don't have to hide parts of yourself. Be you and bring your whole self and all your skills, whatever they might be.
That's awesome. I mean, flying a plane at 14.
Yeah.
Wow. Or
Yeah.
being part
Now,
of
it was just a pilot, like a little small pilot, just two people. So,
but still, I mean, that's phenomenal.
Right. So if the plane ever
Yeah.
goes down on my way to India, I'm not going to volunteer first. I at least know how to like pull it up and do a few, not too much. It's been some years.
That's true. That's true. And what you're saying is the reason why this podcast exists. I mean, as you know, it's called the Imagine Exposure Podcast. You don't know what you don't know. I mean, there's when we talk to kids, one of the first things you hear is, "Hey, what do you want to be?" Nothing wrong with these things, but hey, I want to be a rapper. I want to be a rapper or an athlete. Nothing wrong with that. But there's so many other jobs, careers, and vocations that you can do. And hopefully, these episodes, if someone does desire to make education and action words, you say that they would seek out learning from Dr. Austin Floyd, learning from Dr. Mary Jones Wilson, learning from all of the guests that we've had, Dr. Or Ms. Bridget Hickman, like people who just are in some dynamic and diverse fields and vocations, and they can learn about these, or at least be exposed to them. And of course, they would have to do their own research and due diligence from there. But it's a great opportunity, I think, to at least introduce them to young people, but for free, or with a paid for, if you will.
And I would even say, Zach, like, if you want to be a rapper, if you want to be a ball player, start doing it now. Like, if you are 13, if you are 16, my son wants to be a YouTuber. Ethan, do you have a YouTube channel? Start making your videos and start now. That way you get to feel and experience what it's like now. You don't have to wait till you're an adult to start doing if you want to be doing something in 10 years and 5 years, you should be doing it right now and getting practice right now.
Absolutely agreed. And TikTok, wow, all the things that they have at their disposal is phenomenal. So, but yeah, I agree with that. Absolutely start getting it now. Get practicing. And I think the thing about the internet and where it is right now, it leans to the creative. It leans to the person that's actually putting content out and posting. It just does. It's just the nature of how it's kind of structured. And we can go off on a tangent on that. But back to our questions. So this question here is about the economy of words. The economy of words. How would you explain what you do as a professional in one sentence? Then how would you explain what you do as a professional in one word?
Oh, dang. Okay. Um, all right. So I'm gonna create this because I didn't create this beforehand. All right. So I create I help create educational spaces where people can show up authentically as themselves, receive the support that they need, and achieve success in college. And then in one word, I would say oh, dang, one word?
You said that. You said that. All right. No. We need that one.
Wait, one word?
Two
Words? Okay. I imagine when you're an educator, when you are an adult, you have to imagine a world that doesn't exist. Sometimes there's things that are inside of you, maybe things that frustrate you, maybe ideas that you have. But if you can imagine a community college campus that has booming student life, or if you can imagine virtual disability accommodations in a COVID environment, or if you can imagine scholarships that are administered so smoothly and seamlessly that they cover all of your tuition and you're going to college, no cost tuition. Or if you can imagine whatever the thing it is that you're going to imagine in your space, my space is higher ed, whatever you imagine, and then you go kill it, you go execute and try to make it come to pass. But in order to do that, you need other people, you need to float your vision, you need to operationalize it, think about challenges, barriers, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm gonna write that down just in case.
No, that was good. That was good. I was like, man, oh my goodness. Okay, because I got the visual for it. So that's dope. So you heard it here, the campaign slogan that's gonna come one day, or the business or whatever. Like that's dope. That's dope. You heard it here first, folks.
And I got a piece of that from Imagine Exposure. I mean,
oh no, that's yours. That's bro. Like I mean, because that's what I love about these podcasts is it will just be on a whim and like that light bulb goes off. That's what I love the most about what I do in the classroom, reading, all of it is just like seeing someone's light bulb just go off and go like, huh. You know what I mean? Like and go into that space and just I believe that, any good gift, of course, comes from the Lord. But also just in that space, like I want others who have just kind of given up and who are just like bored, just to kind of get there and be able to build and to dream and to move towards whatever positive things that they're working towards. So I'm definitely all about that. What do you love the most about your job?
I love the freedom and creativity that I can bring myself. Like I can be fully me. I don't have to try to be like Dr. Brown or try to be like Dr. Hardy or whoever else is there. But the reason why they love Dr. Austin is because I'm me and I get to show up in that way. But I also love that we help the most students. Like the South Carolina Technical College System has more students enrolled in our colleges than all of the public four-year colleges combined in the state of South Carolina. But who we're helping? We're helping a population that is more than 40% minority. We're helping students who are low income, are Pell Grant recipients. We're helping students who have restarted their lives, who have started and gotten some college and came back. So I love that we like impact families. I think about when my mom got her LPN, her 1-year nursing license. It changed things for us. We got off of food stamps. We weren't on rental assistance. We started eating healthier because she was a nurse and she knew more. We moved out of the hood, which was okay. I mean, but it changes lives and outcomes for a lot of people. So I like that. the impact that it makes. But then I also like that I can show up how I want to, but you don't always get permission to show up how you want to. Don't ask for permission, just be you. And sometimes there are consequences showing up how you want to show up. And sometimes it could be a little lonely too, but be you. And if you dance for no reason with no music, then dance with no music. If you imagine and think of different things, then do you, because I can go on and on, but when you work and you're in these spaces, it's not just about you. You're bringing your grandmother with you. You're bringing your brothers and your sisters with you. You're bringing your whole community and your experiences. Those experiences that you had, they're valuable when you show up in spaces. So sitting in a seat, you're not just sitting in that seat. Your generations are sitting in that seat with you. Your community is sitting in that seat with you, and you get that. That's a gift to be able to speak their voices and ensure their voices are heard as well. So me doing incarcerated learners programs and such at my job,
yeah.
I'm bringing experiences from dad, from uncles, cousins. I'm saying, okay, are we considering this and X, Y, Z? And what about when they get out? Like, I'm bringing people to the table with me. So I like the ability to do that. That's my long-winded answer.
No. This is what the podcast is all about. It's about the long-winded answer. One thing that I got from that, I pulled from what you said, is your life is kind of the, I don't say, I hate to use the word testimony, but definitely what you're doing for others has happened to you by virtue of what happened to your mom, her transition and her transformation. Like it's almost like you're not just talking about what education can do. You're living proof of what education has done for you and for your family, and so that's just really cool. I could tell this not just like a plaything for you. It's something that you really have a love for, a passion for, and we need to see more of that. That's awesome. On the other end of the spectrum, what would you say is the biggest challenge in your work?
Showing up authentically, being myself, the exact same thing. That's a personal challenge for me, but I would say the biggest challenge, there's a lot of great people in our division and at our job who try to make education more accessible, more affordable, more relevant. But you run into politics on a statewide level. And there's different barriers and hurdles. So really understanding the context in which you deliver education. You can have a lot of ideas and desires and wants when it comes to making change and improvements, but realize that you're going to face different obstacles, and what you wanted, it may not look exactly like how you wanted it to be. So that's the challenge. Showing up as myself sometimes is actually a challenge, because we might enter spaces as people of color where our experiences aren't promoted or validated or dominant. And sometimes it's a challenge to speak up or say your truth too. And another challenge would be, I think those are the main things. And then evolving. You don't stay the same. Like who I was 4 years ago when I started in this position is not who I am currently. I didn't have the degree that I have now and go through some of the experiences, even the pandemic that changed us. That had to change young students who had to learn on their own, who had to learn to cope emotionally and mentally. Like you change. So when you're in a space that changes, or that where you change, you have to continually evolve. And sometimes you get your needs like outside of your job, not necessarily all from your job. You might have to volunteer, you might have to be a part of some organization and serve as the president of that to get some of the things that you need.
What steps must a person accomplish to either become certified or respected in your profession?
To become respected, you want to give valuable information. So colleges will email us often to say, hey, this is our situation with the student. hey, this is the policy issue that we're running into. Hey, do you have any advice on this issue? And to be respected, you have to be prompt in your response. You want to get back to them ASAP. You don't get back to somebody in a week because the situation would have changed in that amount of time. Or if it's going to take a week and you have to consult, our legal people or whatever, let them know that. So you want to communicate promptly. You also want to provide information that's accurate in this field, because then people can build trust and get to know that, hey, the information that X, Y, when Dr. Austin says something, I know that that's valuable information. I know that he is providing something that's good, that I can rely on. I'm going to give him a call back when I run into another issue. Something else and what was your question?
No. It was the question of what steps must a person accomplish to either be certified or respected in this profession?
Okay, yeah. So respected, you want to be prompt, you want to give valuable information. Also getting degrees is not required, but it's good. I had never been surrounded by so many Black doctors, to be honest. And that's what led me to get my doctorate degree. That helps sometimes to have that education behind your name. And then also, in order to be respected, you want to be a kind and a relatable person. There are people in your office who will be different than you, no matter what profession you're in. And you always want to treat them with respect, even though they're different from you, you're different from them, and find points of connection so that you all can move forward with the strengths that you have and not just looking at all of your differences. No license is required. No license is required. Yeah.
But I think you said something really interesting about even like the first engagement with professionalism, right? Like the sense of that's something in your profession, but that's in so many other professions that people just kind of take for granted. If you're talking to someone, you send an email, it'd be a month later, you're like, oh wow, I guess or a call. Whatever. It's not no shade or anything, but it does put you kind of a cut above just to even if it's not a full response. Hey, here's I don't know, 30-second response, and I'll give you something more full and robust when I have my space, when I'm able and available to be able to communicate. Like that does wonders. So even having the what do you call it, the responder in your email kind of set or whatever, like those things are valuable. They're very valuable when you're talking about professionalism. And all those things someone will take with them, and I appreciate you sharing. This is a question that I formed when I was in Dallas. I had a supervisor who just talked about, she was just very candid about in specific in communities of color. One of the things she's hired people from both sides, majority culture, minority culture. And one of the things she kind of communicated was that for a lot of minorities, we're just happy to be there, right? In the sense of, negotiation of salary and what we're worth and that sort of thing. You just said, and I want to make sure I got this, there are 16 schools, and if I'm not mistaken, 150,000 people,
Right.
and you have to manage and navigate so many of those different relationships where you work. And so I know that's not all in your space, but it's just like the implications of what you do is vast and huge. How do you go to your employer and say, hey, I'm valuable? And so the question is, how does a person negotiate salary but the value of their services in your career?
I think three things. I think it's important to know yourself and have self-awareness, knowing what you bring to the table, knowing how you contribute, how you've leveled up, et cetera, et cetera. Two, you have to know what the policies are at your job. So sometimes I just browse our website and look at the policies, and we have policies on increases and raises. The state rule is that you can't give someone more than a 15% raise without a major justification. And you can get raises for someone getting an outside job offer, someone saying, hey, I'm going to leave, I'm taking this other job. Then you can get a 15% raise. Or they can get a raise at some colleges based on education. But there are rules for state employees on when and how you get raises. So understanding one, knowing what you offer and who you are. Two, knowing what the rules are. But I also would say three would be at the beginning of a job, that's your most powerful time to have control over your salary. Once you get the job, you have significantly less control over what you make and how much you're going to make. So when you're in those phases, and I haven't always done this, but when you're in those beginning phases, you want to say, can you tell me how you came to this salary? Because they may use a formula, because they're trying to be fair and equitable. They may use a formula that says this many years of education, this much experience. We want them also. So you might want to understand what they use to come up with that salary. And then you want to say, I also didn't tell you that I have years of experience with this, and I also add this, and I have this degree. So so that can add to your formula to boost you up. Sometimes it's also good to leave. If you're in a place that doesn't value you, sometimes you might have to go. And you leaving will either say, no, don't go, or they'll say, see you later. So you have to have a plan to, that when you value yourself and how much you make, a plan to, when you leave. So I think you have to just know yourself and be aware, but also be aware of what the policies and restrictions are. You may want to jump into a different pay band or pay scale. And I know this might sound like higher lingo to younger folk, but you want to read a book on negotiating or an article on it. And when it comes time to accept a job, when I got my first job, it was like, woo, I got a job and I'm working for the state. And, I took my $35,000 without asking any questions. It was like, thank you. But many times you want to be at a minimum. You want to try to be at that midpoint. If there's a salary range, you want to try to get the midpoint, because many times jobs can hire you at the midpoint without any justification. Sometimes if they go over the midpoint, they might have to write up that justification. But there's so many rules that you want to see what the rules are, Google stuff, look on state websites. But again, know who you are, know what your worth is, know what the policies and restrictions are, and do your best to get the highest salary that you can at the beginning of a job.
That was masterclass. Important. That sadly, I can't recall a time where I got that type of instruction, high school, college, where like there are places where, it's talked about, but not nearly enough. I think we have to have more of that cultural, specifically in communities of color, that conversation, because, if you're just happy to be in the door and you don't know what's available, you would never ask that question. And so very important. Thanks for sharing. And would you want them to try to send an email or try to connect if there's any way to connect?
Absolutely. If you want to reach out to me, you can send me an email, austinfloyd2014@gmail.com, AUSTINFLOYD 2014@gmail.com. That's the best way, because I check that out on a daily basis. We'll give you guys my number. We're not going to do that. If it's close, then maybe that's happening. But I'm on Facebook. I'm not too big on social media, but feel free to reach out on either Facebook, Dr. Austin Floyd, or via email.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Floyd. Man, so proud to see your growth, your progression. I'm going to, as we close, I want you guys to check out Dr. Floyd's YouTube, because he has a really cool story about how he kept himself on the right page as he was pursuing his doctorate. Do you remember that story?
Oh, the article from my college?
Not the article, when you put the numbers.
Oh, yes. Yes,
really
I took
cool.
them down. You got to encourage yourself. So I had like 100 and something weeks left of doctoral school. And I just put numbers around my room and checked it off every week. I missed some weeks, but I checked it off every week and put milestones on there. And before I knew it, I was coming around the room, and I was on this side, then I was on that side. That was encouraging. And I had a picture of myself with being hooded. And then that day actually came. So sometimes you got to visualize. Like I bought the flag from the college I was trying to get a degree from and posted that. Sometimes you have to see the success and encourage yourself. So yeah, that was I remember that.
Thanks so much for sharing, man. Yes, indeed. Well, Dr. Floyd, thank you for your time. Be encouraged, brother, and take it easy.
Yeah, you too, Zach.